Hey guys, I had a request to go ahead and post my weapon loadout classes for search. I do want to point out that a lot of the classes are similar. For example, the first two is just a smoke and a stun difference, so that I don't have to edit the class as much between rounds or maps, depending on which one I need. So the M4 smoke and stun are the same, and then the MB5 smoke and stun are the same. And I have a similar thing with the double time stem. I have a shotgun double time stem and a SMG double time stem. And then I have a thermal and regular sniper class as well. Most of my classes, if it's not a sniper rifle or overkill, I run the combat knife, which will help you get to certain locations on routes at a certain timing. And whether you use double time stem or just EOD knife will depend on the map and what you have to really do as far as timing, or if they're also using double time stem, you have to react accordingly. So all the classes run EOD Ghost Shrapnel, or they run double time Ghost Shrapnel, with the only exception being the Thermal Sniper, which runs Restock and Smoke Grenades. And I usually run a Claymore with that, or I'll switch the Claymore to like a frag if I need to. And the Overkill class obviously uses 2 weapons, and that will switch between an M4 and a shotgun, or an M4 and a sniper, depending on whatever the goals are for the class, and you run amped with that one. So that's sort of the differences between all the classes. I'm going to go into the gun blueprints here in a moment. I have a miscellaneous class, which is just a gun that I'm playing around with. It's usually the same as the M4 class as far as everything but the gun. But this is just kind of the for fun class. The rest are kind of try-hard classes. But besides that, I pretty much always use a frag grenade, except for with a shotgun double time. I'll sometimes use C4, like on Crash, to get a C4 over the wall. Since I'm double timing in, frags don't really work in that case. But generally, I'm using a frag on most of my classes. As far as the blueprints, so the M4, I have 2 main blueprints. This is the one that has a red dot on it. This is more for like sitting back, kind of like Arkloff Peak or the Azir Cave maps where you're not going to really rush. You're going to like kind of post up in a certain spot, and you kind of want the red dot to have accuracy at longer range. The other class that I'll often use is a no stock, which the only difference between these two is the optic was traded for a no stock, and that's more of a rushing class with the M4. As far as the MP5 setup, I pretty much only use the 10mm round. You can use sleight of hand, or you can use the collapsible stock. I prefer sleight of hand because I find myself often being the person who has to carry, and getting killed on a reload just kills that sometimes. So I would rather have the quick reload. But this is also really good for rushing if you don't really care about the quick reload for the MP5. As far as my overkill class, like I said, it's the M4 and the shotgun. I'm going to go over the shotgun in the double time stem class, but it's the same layout. Or if I use a sniper, it'll be one of the snipers below. On thermal sniping, I'll usually use an HDR, which is the class setup that I use. I just use all the ADS attachments, and then I put a bipod on because I want to have 5 attachments. I would not recommend using the dual zoom thermal scope. It has a slower ADS than normal zoom, but if you really like the dual zoom, you can use it. Just be careful, because if they're running up on you, you won't be able to quick scope them as consistently. The other thermal class that I could use is an AX50, which is this one. It just has all the ADS attachments. And then I trade the tac laser for the thermal. You can trade the barrel for the thermal. It's really up to you. When I'm using thermal, I'm usually throwing smoke, and a tac laser will actually give away your position through smoke. So this is worse for quick scoping if they're running up on you, but it's better for long range through the smoke sniping, because they can't see the direction that you're coming from. But that's up to preference and just kind of playing around with it. As far as my quickscope class, I usually go with a car. I can quickscope significantly better with a car than I can with an AX50. So this is the car class. You can choose all the ADS, focus, and the sniper scope. But if you were going to use the AX50 or HCR, then the classes would look either like this. If you look at Exclusive Ace's breakdown of the stats, the 7-round mag doesn't actually lower your ADS, it just lowers your movement speed. So I use that just so I don't have to get caught on a reload in the game. And there's no other real slot to fill, so I'm just using that because the only downside is movement speed, and you're really not usually rushing with the HCR anyway, so it's not that big of a downside. And the last sniper rifle is the AX50, which has all the ADS and focus attachments. Besides that, the only other class that I haven't gone over, the double time MP5 is the same MP5 from the other classes, just with the different class setup. And the 725 class setup is this. On the 725, you can use 5mm laser. I don't like it because I don't think the additional sprint to fire speed or the hip fire accuracy is worth the laser. But it is viable to use as long as you're being very careful about where you're pointing the laser at. But besides that, the only other thing that will sometimes change, I'll sometimes put restock on these classes during like rounds 1 to 3, and then if the opposing team starts getting consistent kills, I'll switch it to Ghost because they might have a UAV. But besides that, I mostly just run Ghost just to be safe so that I don't get caught out because my teammates are dying. And that's pretty much it. I think the only other thing that comes up is if they're using riot shields or something, you switch your lethal to thermite, but everything's kind of a case-by-case basis after that. EOD and shrapnel are definitely the best two perks in the first and third slot, and the second slot is really up to you. Ghost is just kind of the safe bet for that. But that's more or less all the classes that I use. I just switch this up a lot. I have a whole bunch of class setups. Let me pull up my armory. I have almost a class for every single weapon in the game that I've made. So I switch between guns on that last slot pretty frequently. But that's more of kind of just playing around and having fun with the game. But oftentimes I have to go try hard, toward the middle of the game because I find myself having to either carry or lose in a lot of my games. But yeah, if you have any other questions or if there's any other kind of content that you would like to see, just let me know. And thanks for watching.